Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Public History with Jake and Justin. I'm Jake Wynn. In this episode, I'm especially excited to sit down with someone I've known for years and am finally starting to collaborate with, Matt Maris of Local Historia. Based in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania, Local Historia is a small business dedicated to bringing communities closer to their past through walking tours and public history programs. Matt and I talk about the craft of leading walking tours, how these experiences can shape the way people connect with a town's story, and the role they can play in economic development. We also dive into how Matt first got involved in history in Bellefonte and what's kept him passionate about his work. It's a great conversation about storytelling, place, and the power of experiencing history on the streets where it unfolded. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Public History with Jake and Justin. This is Jake, and I'm here with my friend Matt Maris from Local Historia. How are you, Matt?
Good, Jake. Thanks for having me. Excited to talk with you.
Yeah, really excited to have you on the show. This has been, something I've been thinking about having you on for quite some time, and I was very excited. We got to work together in my nearly hometown of Pottsville, Pennsylvania, a few weeks ago, and had a conversation about you coming on, and we've been making some videos together about
Yeah,
other topics as well. So really excited to have you on the pod to talk about your business, Local
yeah,
Historia.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's been
so
nice to finally collaborate with you. We've been
yeah,
talking about a lot of things, and finally getting to do stuff together is really cool. So let's do it.
yeah, absolutely. You know, those of you listening out there, if you want to learn more, you can check out show notes. They'll be in there. You can find click over to links to read more. But Matt, if you could just describe what is Local Historia and tell us a little bit about your journey in public history.
Yeah. So yeah, I live in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania, right in the middle of Pennsylvania in Center County. And when I got here, I was very inspired by the town itself. I've always liked history. But I feel like as far as me taking a deep dive into local history, moving to Bellefonte had a lot to do with that. My wife's a history buff as well, so us just going to Gettysburg numerous times and all those things um, kind of started to affect me, and I started to realize I think like a historian. But what local historian is in a nutshell is mostly walking tours, and but the concept it ended up meaning several things. You know, one the root word, I guess the etymology of historian or history is historia. So to inquire into something and to look into something, and I really think that is what I like to do, and what most historians like to do is to research and look into something deeply and enjoy that process and kind of be investigative and try to find evidence and those kind of things. And then I also like telling the story. So I guess it's a good combination of I like the research part almost just as much as sharing it. And then when I realized walking tours were a great way to do that, I started volunteering at a local library. And actually, I did part of my master's degree internship at the Center County Library, and I was helping them digitize a collection and things like that. So that was a big part of me getting really into local history as well. Was getting a master's degree in history and public history, and then also doing an internship with a library. So I was finding crazy stuff in their archive, and I was just really falling in love with Bellefonte, and then doing like walking tours for free with the library. And then I realized I really love giving walking tours, just connecting with people. So that was a long answer, but um, I think that covers the gist of it with that question. But yeah, I guess I would say one more thing about the local historia concept is also you have it. Anybody who really has a passion for local history has what I would call local historia. It's kind of like getting in that rabbit hole, um, like gotta find out something. And so that to me is mostly what it means. And so we just have that passion for local history, but so does so many people. And I think we just kind of have it in the Bellefonte area. and we're trying to go more places and learn more about other places. But our geography is kind of concentrated in central PA.
Yeah. So if you could, for listeners, many of whom have heard myself and my co-host Justin talk a lot about Pennsylvania and West Virginia. That's been the two states that we've talked most about in the podcast so far. Could you talk a little bit about Bellefonte, and what are some of the stories that and themes from history that you talk about in your town?
Yeah. So, I mean, Center County and Central PA is known for a lot of things, but a lot of it is iron production, iron works, forges, furnaces. So that's a big part of it. Um, Bellefonte, particularly, has its reputation for putting out governors. So you have 7 governors that lived or worked in Bellefonte, including Andrew Gregg Curtin, which is the
Woo!
biggest name. Yeah, I know you're a big fan. So, I mean, that's a tremendous thing. I mean, I drive by his statue every day, which is one of 4 statues in Pennsylvania, as you know, 2 in Harrisburg, one on the Pennsylvania Monument at Gettysburg, and one here in Bellefonte. And I think about, man, what a role he played. He was at the Gettysburg Address with Lincoln. He's in that famous photo, the Matthew Brady or whoever's photo of where they know it's Lincoln, and Abraham and curtains off to the right of on the stage that day. So I tell my tour goers that's just as much a part of his legacy because he organized that event and was important in making the Soldiers National Cemetery. So I use him as an example to show the importance of local history. Is all history is local. All even world history can be local, and everybody's local history is a little different. But there's a lot of similarities across places. But Bellefonte, he is the epitome of really Bellefonte because he's an ironmaster's kid. They have a curtain village down the road. It's a charcoal fed cold blast furnace, just like the 50 other ones in central Pennsylvania. And it's probably the longest lasting one in Pennsylvania and perhaps the United States. Didn't close till the 1920s. He's an ironmaster's kid, goes to the best schools, becomes a lawyer, has some Underground Railroad stories and things like that. Um, supported Lincoln, and then obviously becomes governor of Pennsylvania during the Civil War. Plays a huge role. His nickname, Soldier's Friend. So I think that's just a great example of how local history. He's truly born in Bellefonte, died in Bellefonte at the Elks Lodge there on High Street. So that's a good example of turning history upside down, like from a bottom up perspective, connecting with history. That's the biggest thing I like about local history is connecting with it. You can see it, you can touch it. It might be a statue, it might just be an old house, but that's better than a textbook sometimes, or so you can connect with it more. So, um, I guess to answer your question, he's a big part of Bellefonte's history, but so much Underground Railroad stuff, canal history in central PA, which is surprising, Native American history, Revolutionary War history. I like this, the surprising stuff that uh, I like the great stories, but I'm also careful not to um, just tell some story that everybody else is telling. So I want to find the evidence. I want to find the corroborating sources, and I want to see if that story is legit. So I don't know. That's just a few things, but it's a really great place, and there's lots of Victorian architecture. It was people from Bellefonte that helped start Penn State. It's very much connected to Penn State's history, the Farmers High School. So there's those are a few things that I think are characteristic of Bellefonte.
Yeah, I will say, just adding on to your talking about the architecture, recently, I say not that recently now, when I first met you, on a tour back in, I guess it would have been October of 2022, I believe. And went on a walking tour with you in Bellefonte. That had been the second time I was ever in Bellefonte, and I'm amazed at the revitalization of the community. Some really really cool things happening in Bellefonte, and I'm wondering. a little bit about, turning a little bit away from history itself to more of history in our world today. And just wondering how you feel about, your business and the walking tour piece of what you do, and a little bit of economic development, and how history can play a part in revitalizing towns like Bellefonte. I was wondering if you do some great work with, in that case, you were working with the local tourism office.
Hmm.
Wondering about how you think about that and think about your place in kind of the local economy there in Bellefonte.
Yeah, it's a really cool place to be and be asked by the tourism organizations, to or the downtown Bellefonte organizations to kind of be an ambassador for the town. Sometimes not that I'm the ambassador, but just like one of them, to really share the history and show it off, and that's what I love to do. So that's a really like privileged position to be in, and it feels rewarding to do that and feel like you're helping your community um, economically, and just also just sharing the history, of course, too. But I think it is a huge asset. Like history is, I mean, it's historical assets, or like, and then showing them off. I think understanding the history is the best way to connect with a town. It's. I mean, the food's great. But if you understand the historical context of the food and beverage, understand, you know, these great breweries, these great, distilleries are in a historic building, understanding that building a little bit more, it just really helps you connect with a place. So, yeah, I think it's one of the, obviously I'm an advocate for sharing local history, but I truly think it's the most authentic way to connect. And really, people are wanting to connect with place. Place is a powerful thing for people who live there, and then also for people who are visiting. And just to have those memories, I have, whenever I go on vacation, I have those memories of places, and you're kind of part of that place once you really connect with it. So if you're just wandering around getting something to eat, you're not going to have that experience of a guide really, or somebody who's local, taking the time to really help you connect with the place. So, and it might be a tour of wineries or something. That's great too. You can connect with that. It doesn't always have to be history, but I'm biased, and I do think having that historical context of that place. What's the statue you're passing? What's who's Beaver Stadium named after? Oh, guy lived in Bellefonte. A war hero, a Civil War hero. One of our favorites, James Beaver. So that kind of stuff really helps. But it's a privilege to feel like an ambassador sometimes for the town. And heritage tourism, I think, is super important. I've been able to see Bellefonte really, uh, I guess, evolve. I've seen when I was first going to Lock Haven a while ago in the early 2000s, it was not as nice as it is now. And it's definitely been the labor of a lot of good people like yourself who work in these organizations that are trying to make it grow and develop. And so I've really seen it really flourish, and been at the I've benefited, I guess my business has benefited. I'm coming in on those efforts kind of like at the right time, not because of me helping 10 years ago. It's just me coming into, oh, now there's a demand for tours. And so that's been really cool.
That's awesome. It's amazing to see what you've done with Local Historia there in Bellefonte, and you've also been working with other communities in central and western Pennsylvania as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you've expanded and maybe some of the other historians that you've been working with?
Yeah, so we've always wanted to, you know, learn. I want to learn about any place I go, and there's kind of a demand for tourism in Bellefonte, and I think what's cool about um, the concept of local history tours is people would want them anywhere, and they are provided in most places. Um, but like going to Gettysburg, you can definitely, that's like the epitome of, you can get great the most quality tours you can ever get, from park rangers and guided licensed guided tours and all that. But my thought a long time ago was, why can't we have that in Bellefonte? Why can't we have that? And there are people that could do it, but there's not a lot of people doing it. So it's just like there's the knowledge there. So my thought was, I need to get the right person in Altoona or in wherever to work with us to do a tour. And it was out, and my good friend, Dr. Jared Frederick in Altoona. He's a Penn State Altoona professor, and just uh, I think one of the leading names in our field. And he helped me. He collaborated right away. He was like, sure thing, and we'll do tours out of Altoona. And we were doing World War II. He was doing World War II themed tours, Civil War themed tours, some haunted tours a little bit. Of course, all of our haunted tours are history tours. We're not doing paranormal investigations and stuff like their stories, so that have some type of documentation. But anyways, Jared has been great, and we've done many tours with him in Altoona, and I hope we continue to do that in the future. But really, anybody who's willing to collaborate with us nearby ish, and even not nearby, I would be willing to do that. It's just kind of pair our expertise of doing tours with the actual local historian. I'm not trying to give a tour in Altoona. I could learn it eventually, but that's not very authentic of me to try to sell tickets to a tour in Altoona. I can authentically do it in Bellefonte. I've done some in Bollesburg and nearby, but Jared needs to do that tour in Altoona, or you need to do that tour in Pottsville, or whatever it is. So if it's something that somebody wants to do in that place, we're willing to try to basically push it and make it an available thing. And these can also be private tours too. So it's kind of what's happened more so than just ticketed specific events is now people are saying, just reaching out and saying, can I get a tour of Altoona this weekend? I have family in town. Can I get a tour of Bellefonte? And that's been really cool. We're doing those more frequently than a big public Facebook event type thing.
And you've also been doing some work with video, right? For television, as well as it sounds
Yeah.
like you're moving into some more maybe YouTube and kind of creating your own content there as well.
Yes. I started out just doing some YouTube videos just with like my cell phone and stuff like that, and just having fun with stuff. And eventually we got connected with WPSU, which is our PBS station in Central PA, and this a large region. And so WPSU was great, and we worked with them on a couple of projects just to do it. They had a story about railroads, and my partner in Local Historia, which I haven't really talked about, is Dustin Elder. And so it's just the two of us when it comes to Local Historia. It's me and Dustin, and then anybody, of course, Jared, anybody that teams up with us. But Dustin and I are kind of the business owners. And anyways, Dustin did a little segment on the circus train wreck in Tyrone. We both did it, but I filmed him, and it turned out great. And it was on PBS, and so it was just a 5-minute clip, and we told that story very concisely. We went to the site of the train wreck, sourced some pictures, and that's what we love to do. So that turned into, do you want to show? So that was really cool, that they believed in us, and they were like, you guys, we want local history content. You guys do that. And they basically contracted with us to do a TV show called Journeys with Local Historia. And so we made 2 episodes with that, which is pretty much, I guess, one of the highlights of my, career. I don't know if it's a career of my Local Historia business is to collaborate with PBS, our local station, on a TV show, and that was super cool. And I was really really excited about that. Our first episode Uh, we'll put it down in the link and stuff in the links, but you could watch it on on PBS platforms. And our next episode is coming out next month or relatively soon. Our second episode about a famous outlaw named David Lewis, Davy Lewis, the Robin Hood of Pennsylvania. So it's a very, very high profile topic for people in Pennsylvania. Most people have heard of him. And we basically debunk some myths and basically his story is very, very interesting. And we always say that, true stories are, the truth is more interesting than a lot of these myths anyways. So don't worry, his story is very, very interesting, but we're just going to get down to the gritty, the facts. And I think we, share some really interesting things. So that'll be available soon. Yeah. So, and then we'll continue to do YouTube stuff. And, thank you for, collaborating with me. I'm trying to just, part of me as with history and stuff, I thought things have to be too polished sometimes. And I'm too worried about editing stuff and you want it to be good quality stuff, but at the same time that prevents me from doing a lot of content where I could get more history out there and stuff like that. So I'm trying to kind of back off a little bit on production value and get just meet with people and talk history, and so I'm hoping to just do more authentic YouTube stuff like that.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the listeners to this podcast know that here, production values can change drastically from episode to episode. So, and we wait a long time. Listeners wait a long time for these episodes, and
Yeah.
still the production quality not always the best. So I apologize, listeners. You know, we're working with what we've got here. So.
No, you're doing great. I was criticizing my production value, even though I try, it's still not, and then it takes me forever. And so I guess we all deal with like, how long it takes to do this stuff. And so, and you're putting, this is where the passion is. It's in the quiet, long hours of trying to organize and assemble all this content and not only planning it and doing it, but, producing it and stuff. So just balancing our other responsibilities and stuff like that. So, cheers to you and all the historians and people out there you put out a lot of content. So I mean, you're constantly blogging, and I think it's amazing. So keep up the good work.
I appreciate that. And so as we head towards the conclusion here, for any listeners out there who may be planning a trip to Central Pennsylvania, maybe heading up to Center County, maybe going to State College for a Penn State football game, or may not be planning a trip, but now are so intrigued by what they hear about Bellefonte that they're going to make the trip out to you. Where can folks learn more about Local Historia and the tours that you offer?
Yeah, localhistoria.com. Our website is a great place to start. Uh, it's great because you can put your email in there and subscribe to our email list, and we'll keep you posted with our future tours. But with that being said, you can request a private tour right there or via my email, which is on my website, localhistoria.com as well. And you can see past pictures of stuff we've done, from ghost tours to Civil War themed tours, whatever it is, and even just your run of the mill local history tour at Bellefonte, which is one of my favorites. It's just because it's eclectic. So we'll talk about various things from governors to a murder to an outlaw to Underground Railroad, whatever it is. But yeah, so our website's a great place, and then our social medias. We're just on Instagram and Facebook, but look, you can find Local Historia on those two as well. So find us and reach out. Let us know if you're in town. We can try to make something work. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Matt, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. It's been a delight talking with you.
Thanks, Jake. It was my pleasure.
Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of Public History with Jake and Justin. It was a real pleasure to speak with Matt Maris about his work with Local Historia and the ways walking tours can bring history to life while supporting local communities. We've got some big changes coming soon to the podcast, and I can't wait to share those announcements with you in the weeks ahead. In the meantime, if you're enjoying the show, we'd love for you to leave a rating and a review wherever you listen, or a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Until next time, this is Jake Wynn signing off.